A test unfolds in the land of Egypt. A powerful governor sat upon his throne. This man, known only by his Egyptian name Zaphenath-Paneah, held the power of life and death over the nations that came to buy grain during the severe famine. His piercing eyes scanned the room, but his heart was heavy with secrets long buried. His brothers, who had sold him into slavery many years ago, stood before him, unaware of his true identity. They were desperate men, pleading for food to save their families from starvation. The governor, still concealed behind his veil of authority, had tested their integrity. And found something new in them, remorse, perhaps. Joseph, unable to contain his emotions any longer, ordered all his attendants to leave the room. With the doors shut behind them, the atmosphere grew thick with anticipation. The brothers exchanged nervous glances, wondering what was about to unfold. Joseph's voice, usually steady and commanding, trembled as he finally spoke, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers were struck dumb, their minds struggling to process the revelation. Joseph, seeing the fear in his brothers' eyes, approached them gently. "Come closer," he said. They obeyed, trembling. "I am Joseph, your brother, the one you sold into Egypt," he continued, his voice now filled with warmth and forgiveness. "Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Genesis 45 verses 4-5. Joseph explained how God had turned their evil act into a divine plan to preserve their family during the famine. Joseph's next words were filled with urgency and hope. "Hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me, you, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have." Genesis 45 verses 9-10. Joseph promised to provide for them, ensuring they would not suffer through the remaining years of famine. Joseph's emotions could no longer be held back as he embraced his brother Benjamin, weeping openly. Then, he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Only after this, his brothers were able to talk with him, their hearts softened by his overwhelming love and forgiveness. The governor of Egypt had revealed his true nature, a loving brother and a faithful servant of God. News of Joseph's brothers reached Pharaoh, who was pleased. He offered them the best of Egypt and sent wagons to bring their families and belongings. The king himself supported Joseph's plan to relocate his family to Egypt, ensuring they would lack nothing. Joseph's brothers returned to Canaan with wagons and gifts from Pharaoh. They relayed Joseph's message to their father, Jacob, who at first could not believe them. But when he saw the wagons and heard all that Joseph had said, his spirit revived. "I'm convinced," he exclaimed. "My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Genesis 45 verse 28. Each moment in Genesis 45 is filled with emotion, divine orchestration, and human reconciliation, woven together to create a narrative that speaks of God's faithfulness and the power of forgiveness.